We've got one Big 12 team that's just driving the SEC freaking insane, breaking the brains of the SEC. They're at it again, and this time, I think it really exposes a particular hypocrisy from SEC fans and maybe bleeding a little bit into college football fans in general in terms of what the reaction to this has been, like how people treat this. All right. So it's really round 3 for our friends in Lubbock of getting the SEC all in a tizzy. This has happened multiple times now. First and foremost, it was the football transfer portal, right? There's been a lot of talk, a lot of discussion about what Texas Tech has done in the football transfer portal. They've got the number 1 class. I don't care that it's not number 1 across the board. It's the number 1 class according to On3, which is the recruiting site that I look at the most. It's the number 1 class in the country. Basically, every major defensive lineman that entered the portal, Texas Tech went after and got. UCF fans know about that. Lee Hunter, Romello Height from Georgia Tech, David Bailey from Stanford. James Blanchard made it clear in that article that Shahan Jayaraja wrote recently for CBS Sports that they targeted the offensive and defensive line. Like, they wanted to be better up front. They wanted to make that a priority in the portal, and damn it if they didn't do that in spades. Like, tremendous job there, and help push them to the number 1 portal class in the country. And so he's looking around like, well, what the hell? How is Texas Tech doing that? You're not supposed to be here. Like, you're not supposed to be allowed in this club. How did you get past the velvet rope? This is upper crust SEC territory. This is Oregon territory. Like, this is Lane Kiffin, Dan Lanning. What are you doing here? And so that naturally sends people spying. Well, something must be wrong. This college football system that we're in right now must be pretty screwed up if Texas Tech is here. How could Texas Tech be here, right? Well, then you get into softball season, okay? And in softball season, Texas Tech fans really, I have to just chuckle. It really was funny seeing some of the reaction to this. Texas Tech fans just got uppity SEC softball fans completely out of their minds. Now, this was a pretty stark case. Like, it's one thing to have the number 1 portal class in the country. Texas Tech had 4 of the top 6 players in the softball portal. And obviously, Najari Candidate is there again for $1 million+ next year. That deal had come out. So, Texas Tech was completely cornering the market on softball talent. But, legal way, teach me the rules, I'll play the game. They were doing what you can do in this era. And Oklahoma fans in particular were very up in arms about this. So really, Texas Tech just kind of owns the Red River at this point. You get Texas fans all upset with what I'm about to mention in just a moment. First, it was Oklahoma fans with the softball thing, which is kind of ironic. It's like Oklahoma has been so ridiculously, just ludicrously dominant in softball. And okay, because you lost a little bit of the complete vice grip you had on the sport for the better part of a decade, it's just unfair, or we need to, look, ain't no fun when the rabbit got the gun. Sometimes other teams are going to be able to do something. And that's really the beauty of this era. That is the beauty of this era. Again, I know some people don't like it and won't, but the beauty of this era is it gives teams like Texas Tech a chance to do things like this. And now Texas Tech has landed the number 1 high school player in the state of Texas in the 2026 class, top 20 to 25, depending on where you're looking, prospect in the entire 2026 class. 5-star offensive tackle, Felix Ojo, assumed to be a Texas Longhorn, and this is really the rub here. Not only number 1 player in Texas, but it was a pretty quiet sneaking in there kind of job by Texas Tech to get this one, because if you're following the recruitment, it really seemed like it was Texas and Ohio State, but mostly Texas. Nobody seemed to think Ohio State had a great shot here to get in. And then bam, a couple days before, you start to get some smoke, and he's a Red Raider all of a sudden. And the report comes out. His agent is putting this out there. So, obviously he has incentive to want to get this reported. And this is where, agents, I understand it's good for their business. Student athlete, this can be a problem. Ask Coleman Hawkins about how well it went for him that $2 million figure got out there before the season last year at K-State. But reportedly, a 3-year, $5.1 million contract per the agent that's fully guaranteed, right? So prep offensive tackle getting $5.1 million fully guaranteed over 3 years. from Texas Tech. And so it's like the combination of Texas Tech getting the player and then seeing what the dollar figure is right away that has everybody really freaking out right now, because it now allows everybody to just be like, okay, well, clearly it's the money, right? People, you see a high dollar figure and you run straight to the money. It couldn't be that Texas Tech has a great thing going with facilities. They've got facilities about as good as anybody in the country. There's a ton of momentum. Joey McGuire is a really personable head coach. They are a program that has been steadily on the rise a bit in the Big 12. It can't be any of that. It's clearly only the money, right? Who would, I saw this over and over. Go check message board geniuses if you want to see good Lubbock slander. I mean, it was just, you couldn't pay me $5 million to go live in Lubbock. You see that all over the place. And to me, it's just, one, very funny to see Texas and SEC fans react like this. But two, there's a real hypocrisy in this that I'm going to get to. First and foremost, like I say this all the time about Lubbock, it's a pretty great place if you actually go there. It's hard to get to, and that part does suck. As someone who has driven from Manhattan to Lubbock like 5 or 6 times, I can't remember how many times I did over the years, at least 5. Yeah, it's tough to get to. But once you're there, it's a pretty great place. And even if you are in a place that doesn't have like Austin level entertainment options for you, you're going there to play football. Like, be focused on football. Problem with Texas tried to pimp out the Austin thing for 15 years. And they got guys that seem to be a little too interested in hanging out at Austin and not just putting their nose to the grindstone and becoming football players. And that's how you get high level recruiting classes that are not making the Big 12 championship game for a decade and a half. So look, the kid wants to go somewhere where he can just put his head down and get ready for the football season all the time. Not many distractions, incredible facilities, like world-class football facilities with a really personable head coach. And yes, also a great NIL deal. I mean, that seems to make a lot of sense to me. And the hypocrisy here is, I mean, were players not choosing Texas because of the money? Like, are we... why is the assumption that, okay, Texas Tech gets this kid, this must be purely somebody who's interested in the money? Could never be anything else, when Texas has money whipped players also. This is from February. And shout out to my guy, Derek Young, who retweeted this the other day and pointed this out, quote tweeted it. On three's Chad Simmons on how Texas flipped 5-star defensive lineman Justice Terry from Georgia. Quote, I don't know how else to say it. Just a straight up better NIL package. That was March, April, May, June. 4 months ago. 4 months ago, Texas just came in and money whipped a kid away from Georgia. And now they're going to cry foul about Texas Tech coming in and laying out the best NIL offer and getting the number 1 prospect in the state of Texas. What are we doing here? Why is there this double standard when it comes to Texas Tech and the Big 12, right? Because it's very representative of the Big 12. It's the SEC and the Big 12 here, both of these schools being the representatives there. Why would anybody ever go play in the Big 12? Why would anybody ever go play at Texas Tech? Why would this happen? It has to just be the money. Meanwhile, why did that kid go to Texas instead of Georgia? Well, it was just money. And who cares? And then you see it trickle into debates about the pay for play and the current era that we're in. Like, oh, this is such a problem, and guardrails and the money's so out of control. When Texas Tech does it, it's the money's out of control. And this is such a crazy, I've never heard of Justice Terry. I mean, he's a huge prospect. If you follow recruiting, I'm sure you have. Most people don't know who Justice Terry is. A lot of people now know about Felix Ojo because of this deal. Like, nobody made a big deal about Texas just straight up offering more money to get a kid away from Georgia. Nobody cares. When it's Texas, when it's Texas Tech, it's this huge deal. And it's just such a ridiculous double standard, some hypocrisy coming from SEC country. But I think even just the college football world at large, that people couldn't possibly believe that you'd want to go play in the Big 12. Yeah, it's not like a Big 12 team could ever beat Texas in this era. I mean, we didn't see anything like that certainly last year, this new era we're in. There were zero indications last year the Big 12 team could ever compete on the same field with Texas. Wouldn't even come close. Oh, Oh, that's right. I'm being told that Arizona State had Texas down in overtime and a 4th and 13 stop away from winning a game in a college football playoff quarterfinal. Yeah, that's right. Shove it. You can come to Texas Tech and you can beat Texas in the playoff. Like, that is 1000% a thing that can happen. We basically saw it last year. Okay. So look, I'll take the evidence. This kid wants to go be concerned with football, live in a great place, but a place that doesn't have crazy distractions like Austin. Be focused on football, use world-class facilities, have an incredibly personable head coach, a guy that I'm looking forward to hopefully talking to next week. He was maybe my favorite interview last year, and Joey McGuire. And take in, yes, a very competitive compensation package. Just another one of those perceptions that the Big 12 is fighting against, man. It gets a little exhausting. It gets a little exhausting, but it looks like this kid wants to be focused on football instead of being focused on 6th Street. I'll take it.